Okay, so I'm quite a walker, so I'm gonna come down. So recently a professor actually told me that a lot of people are afraid, especially my generation, afraid to talk about some personal things. So today my presentations look quite different from what you've heard. It kind of delves into my personal life, starting off. We're gonna go ahead and look at my leadership journey. So, table of contents. First, we're going to get to know me a little bit more. We're going to look at a quote that matches with the rest of the presentation, a dip into my childhood, how I found inspiration, entering college, how I've evolved, and then finally ending off with a quote. Okay, so my name is Darena. I'm currently studying behavioral and biological sciences, and I'm minoring in psychology. I'm a pre-med student. Also, I'm the president of the student body, and I'm vice president of Phi Delta Epsilon, a medical organization on our campus. I'm also first generation Arab American. So the quote that we're going to look at is, when you're born in a burning house, you think the whole world's on fire, but it really isn't. So this aligns throughout the whole presentation, and it's by Richard Cagery. Okay, so starting off with my childhood, this is a picture of me and my older brother. I have a little brother as well, but he's not seen here. And so my mom actually got married at 18. It was an arranged marriage, and unfortunately, it did not end off as well as other arranged marriages have in our family. So it was more of an abusive relationship, and so growing up in my childhood, my mom was my rock. And a quick little story, my mom, who did not speak an ounce of English, would take us to the library every single day, if not every day, every other day. And this woman would have us sit on her lap, she'd open up a book, and she'd be like, all right, well, read. We're like, we don't know how to pronounce these words. And she's like, well, don't you go to school? Don't you know the alphabet? You should know how to read then, right? So we'd sit there and be like, okay, we'd pronounce these words. Not sure if we pronounced them well, but she didn't know, right? So we just went through these books, and she had no clue what we were saying. So moving on, finding inspiration. So growing up in a household where things were kind of tough, I really had no inspiration. So all through elementary, middle school, and high school, I was actually a quiet kid, surprisingly, right? I decided that there's no point of me talking, there's no point of me speaking up. So I kept to myself, and I finally picked up a book called A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. And he's written other books about his life, and he pretty much shows how he's overcome his experiences. And now Dave Pelzer went through a lot of things in his childhood, a lot of abuse, and it really inspired me, because I'm like, if this child could do it, then why can't I, right? So it's like, choose your heart. Why would I want to be in the life that I'm in and not show that I can do better? So after reading his book at a young age, I decided that I can build my own path. So entering college, the first thing I did was join student government, right? That's where things start off. So I became the director of inclusion for 2 years. Now at this point in time, student government was unfortunately on bad terms with many organizations. So student government was known to be prestige, and the students in it were too scared to be spoken to. And so it was very unfortunate, but I made it my goal to meet with every single organization. I joined a lot of fairs, I met with the presidents, I met with their e-board, and I showed them that student government is really not that scary, and you can come up to us and you can show us what your concerns are. And I'd like to say that I did overcome that goal after I decided to run for vice president with my president, Ezra Hopi, who's now graduated. And now, this was very scary for me. I'm pushing myself, and I'm now not only advocating for certain organizations, but now I'm advocating for 8,000 to 9,000 students on our student body campus. So we ran, and we won, and it was great. Unfortunately, my president stepped down, meaning I had to step up. Now I'm going from 15 hours of work, whatever my president tells me, I'll do it, to 30 hours of work, and it's like, you're doing everything by yourself. And so it was very, very interesting. It was very scary the first semester. Once we finished that term, I decided to run again, and I am currently the student body president, so it went very well. We did many things. We advocated for a lot of students, not only on our campus, but in our community. We redid an autism center. We held precision health to help diversify medicine. We've done many things on our campus, and I think the one thing that I fell in love was advocating for the students that couldn't advocate for themselves. Now, how I have evolved. So I fell in love with advocating for other people. I feel like people tend to gravitate towards a career that they once needed in their lives, and that for me that was advocation. Nobody advocated for my mom or me or my brothers when we were younger, so my job was to advocate for those who can't speak up for themselves. And I fell in love with it. I went from never speaking in a class to now speaking in front of everyone, right? So it was great. I built a lot of relationships, not only academically, but personally. I learned a lot about how to mend bonds with organizations and how to speak with a wide variety of people, especially the ones who didn't want to do anything. And it was very hard, it was very complicated, but you get to learn how to, I guess, mold the things that you want done in a certain way to get it done. Also, I went from feeling a little lost and I guess a little cornered to now feeling like I can do anything. I keep pushing myself to do the most. Hopefully med school soon, crossing my fingers. And finally breaking barriers. So like I mentioned, I'm first born generation Arab American, and a woman going to college is not really the norm in our family. So my mom helped me break barriers and hopefully continuing breaking those. So finally, I want to end off with the quote that we started off with. When you're born in a burning house, you think the whole world is on fire, but it truly isn't. And that's all.